Welcome to the Living a Nordic Life podcast, where we explore a simpler, cosier and more intentional life the Nordic way. I'm Fiona McKenna, your Nordic living guide and founder of Living a Nordic Life, where I share all things Nordic living and show you that a Nordic life is the way to bring intentional calm and healthy habits into your own life, wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for ways to bring simplicity, coziness and calm into your life? Well, let me show you how. Visit the Living a Nordic Life website to explore how I can help you on your journey to simple, healthy and happy calm, the Nordic way. You can subscribe to the podcast right here. And if you want regular inspirational emails sent with love from Norway and straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters. And so now let's dive into our episode. Hello again and welcome to this episode. And I have to say before I start, please excuse me. I am a little bit hoarse. There's an awful lot of bugs and viruses going around at the moment. And I'm starting to get a little bit of a sore throat and I think I'm going to lose my voice. So I'm probably going to be stopping every now and again to have a little drink of water. I think actually you can probably thank school because my youngest, Mia, is in first grade and there just seem to be an awful lot of bugs going around at the moment. Everybody's got something and all of us parents have got it as well. So we're really grateful. Anyway, look, I want to talk to you about winter because we are coming up to winter in Norway and I've been really enjoying autumn, but it's brief and fleeting. And the cold is already setting in. We've had a couple of overnight frosts here, but not anything really bad. It's been a few degrees below 0 centigrade. And you notice it out on the grass, don't you, when it's just a little bit crispy and white. But we're not really there yet. The local council has been around putting up snow markers at the sides of the road. In fact, they woke me very rudely at 4 a.m. yesterday. When they were drilling the holes for the snow markers. They were also getting a little bit worried, so maybe they know something that the rest of us don't. Anyway, yeah, they have to put these sticks up. They're about 5 foot tall, I suppose, and they drill them into the side of the road so that they mark the edge of the road and entrances to driveways and entrances to schools and different roads and everything, so that when the snow ploughs go along, they can see where they have to plough to. And also, if we get a lot of snow, if we get a really heavy snowfall, you just cannot see the road. Everything is just the same. It's all just the same level and all just white. And if these snow markers weren't up, they wouldn't know. Anyway, they used to be plastic, but they're not now. They're starting to use bamboo, which is rather nice because obviously they get broken off at some point. So the bamboo is a bit more environmentally friendly because they don't have to go around looking for it everywhere at the end of the winter. But in parts of Scandinavia, there has already been quite a bit of snow in the north. In fact, several weeks ago, there was snow already. So we're calling it the start of winter. Growing up in England, I never really experienced snow properly. We had snow maybe a handful of times when I was growing up. And when I got older and I moved back down to my home county of Dorset, which is in the southwest of England, we never had snow. It's subtropical. We have palm trees and we have subtropical plants and we can leave everything outside all the time. Winters are usually green with flowers in bloom. Well, my geraniums would flower right through to Christmas. It was lovely. And outside, I didn't bring them in. And the temperatures are usually way above 0 centigrade. Might be a bit windy on occasion. In fact, it usually is quite windy. But it's certainly not very cold. And on those odd occasions when it does snow, and it's usually a kind of dusting of snow, a bit like you would sprinkle icing sugar, powdered sugar over something. It looks a little bit like that. The entire country just grinds to a complete standstill because nobody is prepared. And this is something I want to talk to you about in a minute because preparation is key. Nobody is prepared at all for it. Even though they've been warned that there's going to be snow, still there's no preparation. And there are news headlines like Snowmageddon, and we're all going to be snowed in forever, and things like toilet rolls and sugar are sold out in the shops because people like to prepare for a siege. That's what we do if we're British. We're always preparing for a siege. So experiencing cold and snow for the first time was a shock, I have to say. Before I moved to Norway, I had had a few times when I'd been in very cold weather. Not very much, I could probably count it on one hand, to be perfectly honest. I had a house in Slovenia, which is in southern Europe. It's just slightly east of Italy. It's attached to Italy, actually, and slightly south of Austria. And it can be cold there sometimes. It can get to about minus 18 degrees centigrade in the winter, in January. And another time when I worked as a chef at a private chalet in Val d'Isère, in the French Alps. But I think I coped better in Slovenia than in Val d'Isère. I was older for a start. Excuse me, I just have to have a little drink of water, otherwise you won't be able to hear me anymore. So although I wasn't a stranger to cold, I was certainly in no way prepared for it when I moved to Norway. It's pretty hardcore cold here. Visiting a cold country is one thing, but living in it is quite another thing. You have the prospect of months and months ahead of you of freezing cold temperatures, snow and ice. What I found remarkable was that people living here and people who've been brought up here could accept it, get on with life and actually enjoy it. They look forward to it. What the heck? I couldn't believe that. I was like, what is there to look forward to? I'm amazed. But the biggest thing that I've learnt is that a harsh winter means that we appreciate all the other seasons even more. Without the harshness of a cold winter, you can't cherish every moment of a spring and summer in quite the same way. Now I find myself cherishing every second of summer. And I'm waiting with autumn as well and hoping it'll carry on. Not denying that winter's going to get here, but hoping that autumn will carry on. And while we still have beautiful autumn days, I'm out in it, making the most of it. So, 3 things I want to talk to you about winter and how to be a little bit prepared like you're Nordic. We're just going to look at this briefly, then I'm going to tell you a way in which you can look at it in more depth if you want to. So, mindset, clothing, and preparation. Let's talk about mindset first. Enjoying winter, enjoying anything really starts with a good mindset, doesn't it? You can't come into a winter environment with the wrong attitude. And I'm sorry if what I am about to say rains on your parade, but you can't keep pretending that winter is not happening. If you live somewhere where there are 4 seasons, or unless you're lucky enough to be able to fly south for the winter, which you probably don't, most people do not, it's going to happen. It's a lovely time to be cosy indoors with a fluffy blanket and the fire on and a good book. But hibernating inside for months at a time is not going to do your mental or your physical health any good. You can't do that for 6 months. You can't do that for a month. Unless you're sick and you have to be inside. At this time of year, I read a lot of articles online. Well, I don't always read them, actually. I see them. Some of them I read. I am aware of them. Let's put it that way. And posts on social media from people suggesting that winter is a time to slow down, hibernate, and be inside. I'm guessing that they are people who do not live in a very cold wintry environment for 6 months. I think they might be talking about just a couple of days, or at least I hope they are. Because it worries me a great deal, because it's not sustainable. It's also not the way that people in the Nordics behave, which is famous for its cold winters, isn't it? In fact, they do the absolute, total, complete opposite. And I know it can be a hard season to get through. I've been there. I know I had several years when we first moved here of dreading winter, dreading the lead up to it, dreading the time that winter carried on through, the amount of time, that's what I'm trying to say, the amount of months that winter was. It was long. But embracing the cold, getting prepared, and spending time in the fresh air will do you more good than a cup of hot chocolate and Netflix. You can actually have both. We can be greedy. We can have both if we want to. You can do a little bit of each. But please don't sacrifice your health on the altar of coziness, because it's not worth it. I'm going to tell you a little story actually. In Norway, if we have to go to the doctor and it's something that's mental health related that it's not life-threatening, for example, like mild depression or some anxiety, the first thing they always suggest is their favourite trio of medications, and I use the word loosely and in inverted commas, which are good food, healthy food actually, Nordic diet, go and have a look at some of my blog posts about that, good sleep, and getting outdoors into the fresh air. They love that. That is their first solution for everything actually, to be honest. Get outside. 5 minutes is good, 30 minutes is better, and an hour is brilliant. The longer you spend outside surrounded by nature, the better. Nature is really good for you, isn't it? It makes you feel better. And the winter is a lovely time to be outside. The air is crisp and clear. It's not as hazy as it is in the summer. You see different things because there are no leaves on the trees. So you might see a different view. And just standing on the doorstep and breathing in that fresh winter air can be lovely. You could do that for a few minutes with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or I don't know, whatever it is you drink, hot cordial. That's what I have sometimes in the winter. That's really nice. Just stand on the doorstep and just take a few deep breaths. It's lovely. It's refreshing. But if you can move your body a bit as well, that's really good for you. Not just physically, it's good for you mentally. Because as we get that exercise, endorphins are released, which is the body's natural happy hormone. It makes you feel good and it hangs around for a while as well. So if you do it every day, your happiness level is going to be raised. But if we're going to get outside, we want to talk about clothing, don't we? Enjoying winter means getting outside at some point. Let's say that you go for the hibernation option. Let's say that you decide to do that for months at a time. I don't recommend it, but if you do, at some point you're going to have to walk from your front door to the car, aren't you? Or you're going to have to go shopping or something. You're going to have to get outside. So even if that's as little as you do, if you spend more time outside, then you're going to feel super miserable and cold if you're not properly dressed. In the Nordics, dressing for the weather is a serious business. And I'm not just talking about the winter. It's not quite so important in the summer, but in every other season, the weather gods throw all kinds of things at us. So we are always prepared. It rains a lot here as well. And you can't stay inside when it's raining. You need to get out. You just need to be out in it. And once you do, actually, once you accept the weather and you get yourself dressed properly and you get outside, it's really liberating. You suddenly have this feeling of nothing can stop me. I can be outside whenever I want. I don't have to stay inside because it's wet underfoot or it's raining. My feet might get wet, but my shoes are going to dry when I get home. I might get wet, but my clothes will dry. I can always take a shower to warm myself up. I can have that cup of hot chocolate and a muffin because I've been outside and I've got cold and I've had some exercise. I need a treat. But it's not quite so important in the summer. But like I said, every other season, you never know what you're going to get. We can expect snow in May. Yes, I kid you not. Warm sunshine in the middle of the winter. And if you've ever been skiing, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know, you can go up a mountain, can't you? And it can be minus I do not know what. And there's snow everywhere. But the sun can be so warm that you are there in a t-shirt. And a lot of people who spend a lot of time in ski resorts, if we're working in a ski resort like I was, then you, in the winter, you can happily sit on your balcony in your bikini or your swimsuit and sunbathe. So that's weird, isn't it? Very strange thing to think about. But wearing the right clothing is crucial. And if you're outside for long periods of time in the winter, like you're going for a hike, which would be brilliant, you're getting that hour outside, that's a reasonable amount of time if it's very cold. It could mean the difference between life or death. That's maybe a little bit extreme, perhaps if you're Lars Monson or you're going for a long hike up a mountain or something, but you can at least be very, very cold. And it could be the difference between being very cold or being warm and toasty and dry. Clothing is important. And it's not necessarily a time to fuss too much about fashion. Make sure that you're choosing things that are sensible. It can still look stylish. Sensible and practical and good quality. The quality that you can afford, as much as you can afford. You don't have to go and spend $1,000 on a ski jacket. What can you afford? The best that you can get. It's a time to drag out that thermal underwear. Probably got some somewhere, and if you haven't, it's really, really useful. Nobody sees it, do they? Because it's not the prettiest thing, I have to admit. It could be a bit like a sausage skin, but it keeps you warm and it stops you from getting cold. And then you can wear whatever you want over the top, almost. Jeans maybe not quite so good in the winter, but you can, and you know that you've got those base layers sorted out. And also those cosy woolly socks that you've been saving. The ones that you only wear to sit in front of the fire and drink hot chocolate and read a book. You can wear those out. And wool is brilliant if you're out in very cold weather. It keeps you nice and warm. Well, the last thing I want to talk to you about is preparation. At the end of October in Norway, we are forced to focus on winter preparation. We have no choice because we have to change the tyres on our cars. Here, as in a lot of other Nordic countries and also in countries in southern Europe where they are in the Alps, we have to have winter tyres on by law. We have two sets of tyres. We have summer tyres and we have winter tyres. You can leave your winter tyres on all year if you want to, but you cannot have your summer tyres on all year. We have to change them. They're compulsory by law, and we have to have them on our cars from November to April, regardless of the weather. It doesn't matter. If there's no snow, it doesn't matter. We still have to put them on. And they might look similar to summer tyres, but the rubber is slightly different. And the treads are different to give the car better traction on snow and ice. Because even when they've completely cleared the roads in the winter, by the time we get to the middle of the winter, there's about 2 inches of ice on the road. And it's all lumpy, and if you have summer tyres on, you wouldn't hold the road at all. Some people like to use tyres with little tiny metal studs on. Peaks, they're called. It's a funny name, isn't it? But they have little metal studs, and they give you an even better grip. But a lot of the bigger towns and cities don't like them because they wear the roads out. So we always go for the ones without studs. But if we had any idea that we could ignore winter for a few more weeks, it's taken out of our hands. We're reminded of it. And this preparation is crucial to a pleasant winter season. Excuse me while I have a little drink of water. That's just an idea of the kind of preparation. But it's not only getting clothing and equipment ready, because you can get that ready now before the winter arrives, and then you know what you've got and you can go and get things, which is what we do here. But it's also about getting yourself ready mentally and emotionally. That's what I was talking about with mindset. I know it's hard to do, believe me, because I've been there, and I spent so many winters dreading the lead up to it and counting every single day until I thought spring would arrive. And it's always been the ones when I've counted every day that have lasted the longest, with snow just before National Day, which is the 17th of May, and piles of snow never seeming to melt. If you're lucky enough to be in a place that doesn't get too cold in the winter, then that's great. Still be a little bit prepared, can't you? Because winter is not summer. It can feel a little bit dismal if we're not looking for the beauty around, and it's there. But if, like me, you're in a region that sees cold temperatures and weeks of winter that seem to have no end, then I have something a little bit more in depth for you. For a start, you could come and join my Facebook group if you're not already in it, because at this time of year we like to talk about winter and how we cope with it. And we also have a dedicated chat within the Facebook group, which is all about winter preparation. And because we are members from all over the world, there are people within the group who can offer all sorts of advice and help those who are having trouble coping with winter. And if you just need a little bit of support or perhaps some accountability, that's also good, isn't it? Accountability to get outside and enjoy it. If you tell somebody that you're going to do something, then it's much harder to not do it. You feel that you have to do it. And that's actually quite a good thing. But if you want to do something a little bit more in depth, then I have something else for you. It's my Loving Winter Like Your Nordic course. And over the course of my time in the Nordics, I've carefully designed the months leading up to winter so that I can make the most of the winter months. We don't just go into it cold. We get ourselves ready, and that's how we enjoy it. And it means that we don't have to hide away and spend all our time inside dreading it. All these years of knowledge that I've got and experience, as somebody who hasn't been brought up here, I have put into my easy to implement e-course, which is going to leave you loving winter. Not just enduring it. I want you to be embracing winter, maybe even looking forward to it. Perhaps we can get there. So is it for you? It's perfect for you if you want to know how to embrace the winter rather than endure it, how to bring some light and some nature into your life in the winter, how to stay warm and dry, that's crucial, and also how to get outside in the winter. And probably one of the most important parts of winter when we're closeted away, or maybe it's not just us who are closeted away, perhaps we're surrounded by other people who are closeted away and we're getting out there. But it's how to make friends and avoid loneliness. Because the winter is one of those times when it's easy, isn't it, to be a little less sociable. But there are different ways of being sociable. You know, you don't have to be constantly meeting up with people if you don't want to, if you find that hard, the weather's bad, or maybe they don't want to. There are other ways of having friendships, and I tell you about that in my course. It's in 4 parts, each of which is easy to implement and easy to digest. There are no big clunky things here. I don't like that. I don't think you need something that's going to take months and months to get through. We want to do it straight away now. And there's no pressure either. There can be if you want it. You can make yourself accountable. But otherwise, no. You pick the bits that you like and the bits that you need, and you work at your own pace. By the end of it, you will be looking forward to winter like you have never done before. And I've even included some tips and little secrets to keep you enthusiastic and also to remove those barriers that stop us from enjoying ourselves, because we can do that, can't we? We can self-sabotage. We can find all kinds of ways to stop ourselves from doing that. Oh my goodness, I can't do that because, or I'm not ready. Well, I've got some tips that are going to help you get past that. And I promise you, your future self is going to love you for doing this. So I'm going to put some links at the bottom of this so that you can go and have a look at things and see if there's something there for you. And if you're not in the Facebook group, do come and join us. We would love to meet you. And I will talk to you in the next episode. See you soon. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters so you can get an email when I release a new episode. It's a quick and easy way to keep up with all things Nordic living. Please visit livinganordiclife.com. You can listen to Living a Nordic Life on lots of podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and plenty of others. If you've enjoyed the Living a Nordic Life podcast, why not leave me a rating? So that's the end of Living a Nordic Life for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.